We are gathering today to honor and strengthen our welcoming congregation commitment with guest minister Alex Kapitan. I first heard Alex, a trans UU minister, speak at a UU church service in Phoenix a few years ago. He co-ministered a sermon with Reverend Michael, which they titled A Radical Welcome. Their message was clear. How well did our congregations intentionally welcome the newcomer into our worship space? Today's sermon is a summary of that presentation. Another opportunity to learn more about the topic came when Janine Gelsinger, the director of UU Jazz, offered the Transformational Hearts workshop last year. I joined 10 other UU participants from many different Arizona congregations for the 6-week session. Alex and Michael both presented in more detail on how UUs can examine their personal views on feeling welcomed and accepted to create a beloved community which builds inclusive relationships regardless of social status, gender identities, or cultural backgrounds. Currently, I am facilitating the Transformational Hearts workshop with 8 participants. And once again, Alex is there, along with Michael, creating the space for us to engage in meaningful discussions. SUUF is a welcoming congregation. Let's continue to honor our commitment in all our interactions with each other.
Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, sisters, we can make such sweet harmony. Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, sisters, we can make such sweet harmony.
Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you, will you reach out to me?
I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, sisters, we can make such sweet harmony. Building bridges between our divisions, with all of our voices and all of our visions, with all of our voices and all of our visions, sisters, we can make such sweet harmony.
Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you,
I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, sisters, we can make such sweet harmony. Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, sisters, we can make such sweet harmony. Sisters, we can make such sweet harmony. Sisters, we can make such. Sisters, we can make such sweet harmony. Sisters, we can make such sweet harmony.
Sisters, we can make such sweet harmony. Sisters, we can make such sweet harmony.
Sisters, we can make such sweet harmony. Sisters, we can make such sweet harmony.
I won't pretend that I could ever understand what it must feel like to be born in a body that you know just doesn't belong to who you are. But I do understand exactly what it feels like to be hated for nothing more than being who I know that I am. And I will always be on your side. J. Warren Welch.
Good morning and welcome, one and all. I'm so delighted to be with you this morning. Today, here in this time, when we are creating a virtual sacred space together, when we are gathering from different physical, spiritual, emotional, and ancestral locations, it feels important to locate myself and invite you to reflect on your location as well. I'm joining you today from my home near the Great Falls. I live where the river the Abenaki peoples call Quinnitigak, or Long River, meets the Mohawk Trail, in the place called Peskiamskut by the Pecumtuck Nation, and Greenfield, Massachusetts by white settlers, not far from the invisible corner where Massachusetts, Vermont, and New Hampshire meet. My ancestors have lived in this river valley and in eastern Massachusetts and in German colonized Wisconsin farmland and in the steel mills of Ohio, and before that, Germany, Hungary, and England. Their names were Kapitan, Bergdorf, Daniel, Pierce, Orange. I come from preachers and farmers and engineers and artists and teachers. I have other ancestors and elders who have made it possible for me to be here today, too. As a queer and genderqueer person, I would not be here without generations of people before me who resisted oppressive norms of gender and sexuality and imagined a different reality into being. Their names were and are Feinberg, Bornstein, Murray, Johnson, Rivera, de la Verre, Kramer. And finally, I follow in the path of white anti-racism organizers, educators, and activists. Braden, Liuzo, Reeb, Okun, Spade. I want to invite you to take a moment and join me in speaking your ancestors and elders into this space. The people, those living and those who have passed on, who forged a path that has made your life possible. Say their names, remain muted, but speak their names into the space and type their names into the chat box as well if that feels good to you. Thank you for that. Feel the power of all those souls that have brought each of us to this place. We are part of a larger fabric, held in a larger web and purpose. Let us worship together.
Please recite with me our shared affirmation of mission. This fellowship is a welcoming, diverse, and nurturing beloved community that promotes progressive religious thought and practice to create a more loving, just, and sustainable world.
are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from?
Mystery.
What are we?
Life is a riddle and a mystery. 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 Life is a riddle and a mystery. 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 Life is a riddle and a mystery. 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 Life is a riddle and a mystery. 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 Life is a riddle and a mystery. 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 Life is a riddle and a mystery. Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going?
We call this light before us in hope that we may always remain a strong community, working together to make the world a better place.
Hello again, everyone. Thank you again for welcoming me into your virtual sanctuary this morning, and for the gift of getting to share this space today. Earlier, I named some of the ancestors and elders who made it possible for me to be here. It's important for me to tell you that I wouldn't be here without Unitarian Universalism either. My parents joined a UU church in a suburb of Milwaukee when I was 6. My dad is the son and grandson of Presbyterian ministers, and my mom was raised a devout atheist in small town Wisconsin. The family joke is that when they became UU, my dad's family all said, "Oh no, he's lost religion." And my mom's family all said, "Oh no, she's found religion." I think that says it all about this wonderful faith of ours. I'm so grateful that my parents joined my home church. It was a wonderful place to grow up. I gained an open hearted curiosity for all the different religious paths and truths that people hold. I was taught to honor my own truth, even or perhaps especially when that truth was different than what was expected. I internalized the idea that living our faith meant working to make the world a better place and fighting for those who are oppressed. And as a queer and trans person, I was able to grow up without any sense that these deep truths about myself were at odds with my faith. My queer, trans, stubborn as heck teenage UU self was saved by Unitarian Universalism. As UU youth, we radicalized each other, exploring who we could be if we helped each other actively resist racism, heterosexism, and other oppressions. We created worship together in ways that were embodied and truly helped me feel the power of unconditional love. It was magic. In fact, I credit being raised UU to a large degree with my ability to be the person I am today. My full, authentic, queer, gender fluid, flamboyantly masculine and feminine all at one time, neither here nor there, Mary Martin as Peter Pan, bow tie flashing, motorcycle riding, roller derby playing, BOI boy self. And yet, even though I was raised here in Unitarian Universalism, even though this religion has given me so much, I have never found a congregational home. You see, not actively making it harder for me to be myself in the world was not enough for me to feel a sense of unconditional welcome and belonging in my church as I grew into adulthood. Nor have I ever felt that way in any of the dozens of UU congregations I've been to since. I've never found a UU congregation where I felt like my lived experience of Unitarian Universalism as a queer, trans, raised UU was reflected and honored. I am one of the 72% of trans UUs who do not feel as though UU congregations are fully inclusive of us. 72%. My chosen family, my closest loved ones, include disabled trans people of color, and working class trans people. But only 20% of disabled trans UUs feel fully included in our congregations. Only 15% of trans UUs of color feel fully included. And only 11% of the most financially vulnerable trans UUs feel fully included. And this is no small thing because trans people and trans UUs are more likely to be disabled, people of color, and low income. My friends, my heart is heavy because I don't want to just find a home myself. I want Unitarian Universalism to be the saving power in my people's lives that I know it can be. I want to be able to tell Black trans women and struggling queer young adults and LGBTQ refugees and asylum seekers that they can go to their local UU congregation in person or online and find healing and strength and resilience to keep up the fight for survival in a culture that's trying to annihilate them. But I can't. Because I can't trust that their local congregation will even be safe for them, much less a place of resilience. Can you hold this heaviness with me? Whenever I share my story about how I've never found a home in Unitarian Universalism, there are always people listening who think, that's just because you haven't tried our church yet. So if that's you, I see you. And I deeply believe, I truly do, that this church, this wonderful community of yours, deeply wants to be a place where I and my chosen family feel welcome. Am I right? I wouldn't be here today if that weren't true. But I need you to help me hold my heavy heart at the fact that for the entire 30 years that I have been a UU, ever since my parents joined my home church when I was 6 in 1991, Unitarian Universalism has told the world and has told me that LGBTQ people are welcome here. But that entire time, I have experienced that welcome as conditional. My whole life, I've known that I could attend any UU congregation and not be actively rejected, as long as I wore certain clothes and said certain things and acted in a certain way. I've known that because I'm white and college educated and able-bodied, I can appear to fit in a way that so many of my people can't. I have known that because of this, people would be friendly to me. But that's not the welcome I need. I need a welcome that goes beyond friendliness, goes beyond tolerance or acceptance. I need a welcome that isn't conditional. I need a welcome that's celebratory, a welcome that transforms hearts, yours and mine. And here's the thing. I know I'm not the only one here who is yearning for this sort of welcome. I know I'm not the only one here who has felt the saving power of Unitarian Universalism to transform hearts, remind us of our interconnectedness, and support us in loving one another across lines of difference. I know I'm not the only one here who has felt the need to leave certain parts of yourself behind, who has felt pressured to look or talk or act in ways that make you appear to fit in order to feel welcome here. You see, I'm not just in the ministry of welcome for myself and my chosen family. I'm in it for you, all of you, because I know that in order to survive this world, this dominant US culture of division and hatred and violence and environmental destruction, we need spaces like this one to be more than simply friendly. We need spaces like this one to be places where we can unlearn the judgments and assumptions and biases that have soaked into us from the outside world, and practice healing the divisions that are tearing our communities and our world and our very souls apart. My Unitarian Universalism is not a community where we are all the same and we get to relax on Sunday knowing that everyone else is just like us here, a collection of the good ones who have all the answers. My Unitarian Universalism is a community where we are all different, and we take joy in learning about each other and sharing in our different ways of making meaning, and we care for one another and one another's people, and we never stop asking questions. My Unitarian Universalism is a community where none of us feel like we have to leave any parts of ourselves behind. This is why my best friend, Reverend Michael Slack, and I created the course that this congregation has access to thanks to UU Justice Arizona. UU Jazz received a grant from the UU funding program that allowed them to purchase this course for you and every other congregation in Arizona, which is amazing. The course is called Trans Inclusion in Congregations, but it's about so much more than trans inclusion. For years, as trans UU leaders, Michael and I were asked to come teach UU congregations about trans people. People wanted to understand all the vocabulary. They wanted to learn what the right things to say were. They wanted to feel a sense of mastery over this new, unfamiliar terrain to them. And we got really tired. Because although as educators we love helping people understand things, going around doing Trans 101 trainings wasn't changing the things that keep us from finding a UU home. It was helping a lot of people feel like they intellectually understood trans people, but they still joyously sang songs about brothers and sisters, and continued to misgender every single youth who came out as trans or non-binary within their congregation, and didn't make any changes to their women's group or their annual men's retreat. Their welcome was still conditional on trans UUs looking a certain way, speaking a certain way, acting a certain way, and honestly, being willing to betray parts of ourselves in order to fit in. So we created a course that helps people really engage with the depth of what's required if we're serious about welcome. The course takes you on a journey, starting with the theological grounding for welcome, this denomination and your congregation's gender history, and your own experience of gender. We offer expansive frameworks for how to think about gender and sexuality, talk about the lived experiences of trans people of many different races, abilities, ages, classes, and sexualities, and discuss trans spirituality. The course ends with a conversation about culture, about the differences between understanding welcome as a superficial friendliness and understanding welcome as a spiritual practice and an invitation to transform your heart, and about how to shift the culture of your congregation to be radically welcoming to all who are currently here and who want to be here. I hope that if you haven't engaged with the course yet, you will, and that it helps you live into what it means to be a welcoming congregation in this moment. The course has 6 sessions, each of which includes a pre-recorded lecture from me and Michael, resources to take things deeper, and reflection and discussion questions. You can take it as an individual anytime, or you can experience it as a group, which is what we recommend. It's really easy to engage with in these times of physical distancing. Go to uujaz.org for more info. If it doesn't sit right with you, that despite all your best intentions, there are people who don't feel fully welcome here, people among you right now, and people like me and mine, the question is, what are you willing to do to change that? How can you resist the urge to already have all the answers and be willing to ask more questions, try new things, and transform your heart? You see, being a welcoming congregation is not a static identity any more than being an ally is. It's not a sign you can put up or a box you can check or a statement you can make that means every LGBTQ person coming into your virtual or physical space will feel welcome. Every queer youth, every bisexual Black person, every low-income trans person, every gay immigrant, every asexual, agender Asian American, every disabled lesbian elder. Because being a welcoming congregation isn't something you are, it's something you do. Because welcome is a verb, it's an action, it's a spiritual practice. So I hope I can count on you to join me in this practice, because it is truly one of the most holy, heart transforming, and world changing things that we can do together. Amen, Ashe, Aho, and blessed be.
Now is the time for silent meditation.
We have been warmed by fires we did not build. We have drunk at wells we did not dig. In gratitude of our many blessings and many needs, this morning's offering for this community will now be received.
stranger to the dark. Hide away, they say, 'cause we don't want your broken parts. I've learned to be ashamed of all my scars. Run away, they say, no one will love you as you are. But I won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us, for real glorious. When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, gonna send a flood, gonna drown 'em out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen, I make no apologies. This is me. Another round of bullets hit my skin. We're far away, 'cause today I won't let the shame sink in. We are bursting through the barricades and reaching for the sun. Yeah, that's what we become. Won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for love, for we are glorious. When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, gonna send a flood, gonna drown 'em out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen, I make no apologies. This is me. This is me. You know that I deserve your love. There's nothing on earth. When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, I'm gonna send a flood, gonna drown them out. This is brave, this is bruised, this is who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come. Look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen, I make no apologies. This is me. The words wanna cut me down, send the floods to drown them out. This is me.
Our reading this morning is by Reverend Leslie Takahashi from the book Voices from the Margin, edited by Reverend Jackie James and Reverend Mark D. Morrison Reed. And it's called Marginal Wisdom. They teach us to read in black and white. Truth is this, the rest, false. You are whole or broken. Who you love is acceptable or not. Life tells its truth in many hues, but we are taught to think in either or, to believe the teachings of Jesus or Buddha, to believe in human potential or a power beyond a single will. I am broken or I am powerful. Life embraces multiple truths, speaks of both and of and. We are taught to see in absolutes, good versus evil, male versus female, old versus young, gay versus straight. Let us see the fractions, the spectrum, the margins. Let us open our hearts to the complexity of our worlds. Let us make our lives sanctuaries to nurture our many identities. The day is coming when all will know that the rainbow world is more gorgeous than monochrome, that a river of identities can ebb and flow over the static, stubborn rocks in its course, that the margins hold the center.
Gonna keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Never turning back. Never turning back. Gonna keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Never turning back. Never turning back. Gonna keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Never turning back. Never turning back. Gonna keep on moving proudly. Keep on moving proudly. Keep on moving proudly. Never turning back. Never turning back. Gonna keep on singing loudly. Keep on singing loudly. Keep on singing loudly. Never turning back. Never turning back. Gonna keep on loving boldly. Keep on loving boldly. Keep on loving boldly. Never turning back. Never turning back. Gonna keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Never turning back. Never turning back. Never turning back. Never turning back.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Our closing words come from Reverend Joe Cherry, also from the wonderful book Voices from the Margins, called Prayer for Living Intention. If we have any hope of transforming the world and changing ourselves, we must be bold enough to step into our discomfort, brave enough to be clumsy there, loving enough to forgive ourselves and others. May we, as a people of faith, be granted the strength to be so bold, so brave, and so loving. Go in peace.
Just put your paws up, 'cause you were born this way, baby.
I was born this way. I was born this way.
everybody.
Bye. Thank you, everyone.
Love you. Love you. Love you.
Happy Pride.
Be safe.